Good morning, traders. Chris Buss here with Traders Profit Compass with another edition of Before the Bell for Tuesday, November 15th, 6:56 a.m. as I'm starting the video. And if you're new here, please run that player at 1.5x. Not a lot going on technically today compared to yesterday. So I'm going to try to do my best to go through and give you a quick video this morning. Taking a look at pre-market futures, Bitcoin's up 3%. The energy complex is down about 0.5%, both oil and nat gas. Equities are up pretty nicely, between 0.5% and 1% on the NASDAQ. Macro front, not a lot. PPI final, and we've got an Empire State Manufacturing Index coming out at 8:30. Earnings front, Home Depot just reported, I think, a good number, trading up. Walmart is also before the bell. And then after the bell, Advanced Auto Parts might be a name you want to take a look at. So getting back to our market keys, I still think the dollar is central, along with bonds. We had a little update yesterday. I looked at futures and the dollar was down a little bit. So anyhow, my base case is some consolidation down here in and around the 200 and this 105 key support. One thing you may want to do on your own is, I think we broached the subject but didn't dive into it a lot, would be going around the world. Falling dollar is usually a catalyst for emerging markets, and you can look up individual country ETFs as a way to play. Hong Kong and Singapore and Taiwan and India and literally everywhere. A falling dollar is usually bullish for foreign markets. So I would continue to watch that, along with bonds. Just more or less a little consolidation day yesterday around 97.50. I think you can be long against that or long against the top of this gap here, and looking for at least a kickback up to the 50. VIX took a little jump, came down and tagged the top of this open gap. I think right along with our market keys, you want to have the VIX, TLT, and the dollar up on your matrix, especially if you're day trading. And whenever you can get those all in alignment, being dollar falling, TLT rising, and VIX falling, that should bolster your confidence to be on the long side of your trades. We mentioned Bitcoin up a little bit, consolidating after this rug pull. And, one thing to note in this rally that we've had a ton of bad news, and it really has not phased the market. I mean, going back in time, this crypto thing would have destroyed risk appetite, and it really hasn't affected it this time. Of course, it's bad news for people involved in crypto, but there hasn't been any contagion, and I think that's a big positive for the market, something to continue to watch. Usually we say when crypto's falling, it's going to be really hard for other risk assets to advance, but it really hasn't been the case this time. Oil had a bad day yesterday. I couldn't figure out what was going on, and what happened was the OPEC lowered their demand outlook for Q4. And really what they did was, remember, they went back and, a month ago, a month ago, they cut their production targets. And so what they did was, on their demand report, they brought that demand report in line with their production output. I don't think it. I mean, you got to trade price if you're trading it, but I don't think it really changes the picture out there for demand, etc. A lot of it's going to be driven by China, either continuing to dial back the COVID restrictions, etc., and the ability of the Fed not to crater world demand with a hard landing recession. So we're down here at or near support. Certainly don't want to see that break. One thing we'll look at going forward in the video is, oil was down 3.5%, yet the energy complex, ExxonMobil, refiners, Valero, etc., were all up and up nicely. So normally you'd see, the equities crater along with the commodity. Did not see that yesterday. Gold just treading water with the dollar not really doing anything. I think technically the same thing, the same keys apply that were mentioned yesterday. We're right here at the 200. So you get a break above 200, you got room for a leg higher. If it gets stonewalled here, may come down and fill this little gap, maybe back touch the 8-day, or even come back to the 20 down here at support. You'll have to decide, if you got in down here and have embedded gains. I think it's not silly, but not really smart either to, just hold on to embedded gains and wait for the market to potentially take it away. Why not just, if you want to stay long, and I think that's a good trade right here, roll up higher and buy yourself a little more time and see if this doesn't develop. Because a lot of times what happens is, and as we've discussed before, you're sitting here, oh, well, I'll buy it on the break of the 200, and it stays below, it stays below, it stays below. And then one morning pre-market, it gaps higher and you can't get in. So I think you got to make that decision here if you want to be long. If you were just in it for a quick hit, get out of it and call it a win. If you want to stay long, roll up your strikes and just stay here and see if you get the breakout. NYMO came down a little bit, but still elevated. Same thing with the NASDAQ oscillator here at 30, somewhat elevated. SPY, I think it's all about the 200 coming in right here at 399.21. That's the same kind of important technical level to get through. You see this big value area that's been carved out by our volume over price bars, and then you got a decent sized gap here, and the simple 200 coming in also as resistance. Now we're up in the pre-market, so we're right back up here to 398 pre-market. But I think that is kind of an important pivot for active traders. We had a pullback in the last hour yesterday, which put us down in the middle of this range, certainly open to, rolling down all the way down to this 390, 388 support zone down here. But like I said, we're up pre-market, and if we can hold 398, the door is open then to taking out the 200 and then getting into this gap here. On Qs, I think it's pretty simple. We've got a great line right here at 285. Why is that a great line? Resistance, 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 support, large volume over price bar. That makes 285 an important level of support to hold. Now, like I say, we're up 1% in the pre-market on NASDAQ, so we're going to be above that this morning. As long as 285 can hold, I think you can stay long looking for 295, at least for a tag, because they're again up at 295. Resistance, 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 support, support, resistance. That makes this line important, and not a lot in between, I think, is the key. So I think there's room for a push up here to 295 as long as 285 holds. And you can see the little pullback here into that area at the close. It held. Now we're up again, and you can see we've got a little intermediate line of resistance at about 290, and then on up to 295. IWM the other day came up to fill this gap. I've left the gap in there just because I like looking at gap, prior gap support, and also that's a convergence of both the 200 EMA and the simple 200 right here at this 185 type area. And like I said, futures are up a little bit. I think you can be long against this area. We can get a little bit of resolution right here on the 60-minute chart. You see right down to the bottom of this gap. You can see the prior highs were resistance, resistance here, and then we've had multiple touches of that same level from the upside, making it support. So that's a big level. And, should that break today, should the pre-market move end up being fake, then if you break 185 to the downside, breaking a key level from above, that's your objective short for a roll down to at least 182, I would say, right in here along this line, and potentially down to back touch the top of this gap at 181. Meta continues to make progress, although you can see it's flattening out. I've got the midpoint of this big gap here right around 115. I think that's your pivot for today on Meta. Apple looks to me like it's building out a little bull flag, impulsive move higher, consolidation, holding support in here at 148.50, 148, right in there. I think that's your pivot for today, with an upside target of 151. And you can see a relatively important level there at 151. Resistance, 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 resistance. And you've got a little value range carved out here with the volume over profile bars. And you can see that above 151, that volume over price resistance begins to fall away. So I think above 151, you could see some easier travel, so some more rapid movement as this resistance falls away. And if you wanted to, you could do a measured move. Here's the first leg, and then add that leg from 148.50 and see where it goes. And you can just see, well, actually it would be from down here. That's where it started. So that's a big leg. You'd be up here, certainly in the 158s or even higher on a measured move. So if you haven't been in Apple and you get a break above 151, I would certainly take it long there and see what happens with, you've got the intermediate targets here, but that measured move really projects something much higher for Apple. Tesla not really doing much. We said the other day we got the fibs here. We got the 38% retracement here at 200. I think there's probably easier fish to fry than Tesla right now. What would really get me interested is either a comeback to 185. That would be an objective long because you've got a line of support in here. But probably even more interesting, if the market looks constructive, is if it can get through 200, which was the prior lows. Then I think you might have something cooking to the upside. Microsoft had an off day yesterday, down 225. It was down a lot lower. And if you were Johnny on the spot, you got an opening bar with a deep pullback. I don't know if you can see the wick there, but it came all the way back to this 238 bottom of the box. That would have been a great objective buy right there. And then you got a nice move really back up to 244. I mean, that's a $6 move. Even if you got caught up in this pullback, you got from 238 or so to 242, which is a nice day in and of itself. Now this morning, just keep or be aware that you've got a gap from 244 up to 247. And I did look pre-market, and it looks to me like Microsoft is back up in this gap this morning. Amazon is also higher. Remember here, the key, although I've got the pivot at 98, that's certainly true. You see support, resistance, support. So as long as it holds 98, I think you can be long against that, looking for 102.50. But that's the big level, because that was the original breakdown, and a move back to 102, 102.50 would complete the breakdown and back test, and then that would make that super important there at 102.50. Not only because that was the original breakdown level, but because you've got a healthy $9 or $10 gap here yet to fill. Google also higher this morning. In this case, it has completed the breakdown and back test. 96.50 was our line. You see it here. All this support, it broke down, back tested, came down, now is back testing it again. I noticed pre-market trading just above like this 97 range. I think you can be long against 96.50 because, you know, technically you've broken back above the key level, and, you know, all this should be support. So being long against 96.50 gives you the opportunity to get into this big gap, $8 gap here from 105, actually $7, 105 down to 98, and you certainly want to be involved at that point. So whether you take it long against 96.5 or simply set your alarm at 98 for the gap entry, that would also be a good way to play. Netflix just keeps on going. We took out the prior highs yesterday and came up to this 310, and then we had the bad last hour where it pulled back $10. But looking at the big picture, still going up. You may see some consolidation in this area before it breaks out again, but 300, I think, would be an objective level to trade against. And certainly if you got a breakout above 310 for new highs, you still got $40 essentially of gap to fill up to 348, above 310. You get up to 348, 350, that's going to be $40 to the good. There was a report out this morning that Berkshire has taken a significant stake in Taiwan Semi, which is the largest component of SMH. So SMH is trading above this 22.5 resistance, trading around 223 in that area. I think you can stay long against 222.50, looking for 227.50, and then 235. I think that Berkshire effect will probably be working today, but irregardless of that, a move above 222.50 would certainly be bullish after this days-long consolidation yesterday, and you certainly wouldn't want to see price drop back into this prior gap. Then it could roll all the way down towards 210. So semis continue to look productive here, especially with that Berkshire move. And a fun fact, Charlie Munger turns 99 on January 1st, so that's quite an accomplishment in and of itself. Off day for ARK, did not see any of the gains, so really all of the pivots for the ARK complex remain the same. Here on ARKF, you've got 1675 right here at the midpoint of the box. ARKG pulled back. I still think your pivot here is 36, or if you got a pullback into 34.25, that is certainly an objective long there as well, because you've got all this acting as support for ARKG. ARKK, 40 remains resistance. If you're interested in a long, I would have an alarm there and be ready to go long if it comes up. Now you've got the 50 acting as support here, and so it really needs to punch through 40 to have any chance for significant upside. Somewhat of a down day, 335 on ARKW, still pinned below the 50. If you wanted to take a long right here at 46, I think that's fine. Why? Because you're at the bottom of, if I were to extend this box and all these levels of support here, you're right at key support at the bottom of the box. And if you wanted to take a long there at 46, your target would be, 49 and then 52.50. Just wanted to show you ExxonMobil with oil down 3%, managed to carve out a new high before pulling back. Valero was one of the standouts in the refiner segment yesterday. Had a strong opening up into the 140s. I sent a note out. Our November options expire Friday, so I thought yesterday was a good day to harvest some profits. We had gotten in down here and actually rolled up into 130, so that was a nice trade. Now the whole key is, does it break out or does it get rejected here at 142.50? Right now we've got potential for that double top look. We've got a high here. We had a reach up candle, didn't quite get there. But what you're going to want to watch is, if there's a further push up into 142.50 at this prior high, you got to break out there, or you do get that double top kind of look there. And I wouldn't be surprised if there might be a little bit of consolidation here before it makes the breakout if things remain bullish. But I like the look of that. And really also you got a completed W formation. Not as clean as some, but you got the left side, the middle, and then the right side would complete that, symmetrical type look of the W formation. And if there's going to be a place for a big rejection, I think it's going to be right here. So we're going to have to stay on our toes there. And if it looks like there's a stall or a potential reversal, then certainly we could, do one of two things. Certainly take off your long if it looks like, there's a stall or a pullback, or get short against 142.50 and see if we don't get, a bigger type pullback off of that double high, double top kind of a look. So let's see how today rolls out. Keep that dollar in focus. Not a lot to add, not a lot of macro on the board for today. So let's see if the risk appetite continues, and we will see how it goes. If you're new to the channel and you appreciate technical analysis and a game plan every morning, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button and the alarm bell. Also, over in the show notes, you'll find a link where you can add your email address. It takes all of 15 seconds. That way you'll get all my content right to your email box. You won't have to go hunting for it, either on YouTube or for a link in social media. You can also, I'm not a super active tweet guy, but you can certainly add me to your list at Profit Compass if you care to do that. That would be great. Let's see how today rolls out. This has been Chris Buss with Traders Profit Compass. Have a good day of trading, and talk to you next time.